The great hall on Nexus Prime stretched up so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. 12 different alien species sat in their floating chairs, each one designed to show how advanced and important they were. The chairs moved smoothly through, the air glowing with soft lights and making gentle humming sounds. Lee Tae-ho sat in the only chair that touched the ground. It was made of simple metal, painted gray, and it looked very plain next to all the floating ones. The other aliens had made sure the human chair was different. They wanted everyone to know that humans were not like them. Kim So-ra sat next to Lee Tae-ho with a stack of data tablets on her lap. She tried not to look upset when the Velakari ambassador made jokes about human technology. The Velakari looked like walking crystals, and their voices sounded like wind chimes when they talked. "Look at those primitive devices," the Velakari said, pointing at Kim So-ra's tablets. "Do they still use solid matter to store information?" The other aliens laughed. Their own devices were made of pure energy that floated in the air like colorful soap bubbles. Park Jin-woo, the human military officer, felt his hands turn into fists under the table. He had been listening to these insults for 3 days straight. The meeting was supposed to be about peace. The Galactic Federation said they wanted to solve problems between different species. But every time Lee Tae-ho tried to speak, the aliens would interrupt him or ignore him completely. "We are here to discuss the Kepler 442 system," Lee Tae-ho said in his calm voice. "Humans have lived there for 50 years. We have built cities and farms. Our children were born there." The Velakari ambassador waved one crystal arm. "That system is needed for proper stellar engineering. Humans cannot understand such complex work. Your presence there pollutes the cosmic harmony." "Pollutes?" Kim So-ra could not help herself. "We have cleaned up 3 dead worlds and made them green again. We brought life to places that had been empty for millions of years." The Zephyrian delegate floated closer. Zephyrians looked like tall, thin people with too many arms and eyes that glowed purple. "Young human, you should be grateful. The Federation allows your species to live on worlds that nobody else wants. The Outer Rim has many empty planets perfect for creatures like you." Park Jin-woo stood up quickly, but Lee Tae-ho held up one hand to stop him. The human diplomat had learned to stay calm even when the aliens were being cruel, but inside he felt his patience wearing thin. "The Outer Rim worlds cannot support large populations," Lee Tae-ho explained. "They are too far from trade routes. Our people need medical supplies and rare metals that only come from the core systems." The Altarian speaker laughed. Altarians were the most powerful species in the Federation. They looked like giant insects with golden shells and voices that boomed through the hall. "What does it matter? There are too many humans anyway. A smaller population would be better for everyone." Kim So-ra felt sick. They were talking about billions of human lives like they meant nothing. Park Jin-woo's face turned red with anger. Even Lee Tae-ho, who had been a diplomat for 20 years, felt something cold and hard growing in his chest. "Let us vote," said the Velakari ambassador. "All in favor of relocating human colonies from the Kepler, Vega, and Proxima systems to make room for the new hegemony mining operation." One by one, all 12 alien species raised their appendages, tentacles, or energy fields to vote yes. Not one of them voted to let humans keep their homes. "The vote is unanimous," the Altarian speaker announced. "Humans will have 60 days to evacuate 3 star systems. The hegemony will provide basic transport ships." "Basic transport?" Park Jin-woo finally spoke. "Those ships cannot carry our farming equipment or medical facilities. People will die during the move." "That is not our concern," the Zephyrian said. "You should have thought about that before you chose to live in systems we need." Lee Tae-ho looked around the hall. Every alien face showed the same expression. They thought this was perfectly normal. To them, humans were just animals that could be moved around whenever it was convenient. "I request a recess," Lee Tae-ho said. "I need to consult with Earth government before we can accept these terms." The Altarian speaker made a sound like grinding metal. It took Kim Sora a moment to realize he was laughing. Consult. You are insects, Lee Tae-ho. Insects do not get to consult. You will accept our generosity and be grateful for it. Something snapped inside Lee Tae-ho. For 3 days, he had listened to his species being called animals, insects, and primitives. He had watched aliens laugh about human suffering. He had tried to be diplomatic while they planned to destroy human colonies. He stood up slowly. His simple metal chair made a scraping sound against the floor. The noise seemed very loud in the huge hall. Ambassador Kim So-ra, he said in a voice that was perfectly calm but somehow made the translator systems pause and stutter. Please, collect all our materials. Kim So-ra began putting the data tablets into her bag. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. She was shaking from anger. Colonel Park Jin-woo, Lee Tae-ho continued, signal our ships to prepare for departure. Park Jin-woo smiled for the first time in 3 days. He activated his communication device and sent a coded message to the human fleet waiting in orbit. The aliens stopped laughing. They looked confused. This was not how these meetings were supposed to go. Smaller species were supposed to accept whatever the Federation decided and say, thank you. What are you doing? The Velakari ambassador asked. Lee Tae-ho picked up his simple briefcase and looked around the hall one last time. The Terran Federation formally withdraws from these proceedings. We will not accept your terms. We will not move our colonies. Consider this our final diplomatic contact with the Galactic Federation. You cannot just leave, the Zephyrian delegate said. These negotiations are not finished. Yes, they are, Lee Tae-ho replied. He walked toward the exit with Kim So-ra, and Park Jin-woo following behind him. We came here in good faith, hoping to find a peaceful solution. Instead, we found that you see us as pests to be controlled and moved around as you please. The Altarian speaker's voice boomed through the hall. If you leave now, you will have no protection from the Federation, no trade agreements, no medical support for your colonies. You will be alone in a dangerous galaxy. Lee Tae-ho stopped at the great doors of the hall. He turned back to look at the 12 species that had just voted to destroy human homes. We have been alone for 200 years, he said. You just never bothered to notice. The 3 humans walked out of the hall. Behind them, the aliens began talking excitedly. Some thought the humans would come back begging for mercy within a few days. Others wondered if they should send ships to force the human colonies to move anyway. None of them understood what had just happened. They thought they had solved the human problem by making humans go away. They had no idea that they had just created a much bigger problem for themselves. As the human shuttle left Nexus Prime, Lee Tae-ho looked out the window at the glittering capital of the Galactic Federation. Send a message to all human colonies, he told the pilot. Tell them to go dark. Full communication silence. It is time to go home. The galaxy would soon learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped trying to be diplomatic. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the peace talks. The galaxy was celebrating. Trade moved faster now that human ships were not stopping cargo vessels to check for slave workers. Mining companies could dig up entire planets without worrying about human complaints about the environment. On Nexus Prime, the Altarian speaker held a grand party. The human problem is solved, he announced to crowds of alien dignitaries. Our galaxy is finally at peace. The Velakari ambassador agreed. Without their constant whining about rights and equality, we can focus on real progress. Production is up 30% across all sectors. But far away from the celebrations, things were getting worse for humans scattered across the galaxy. Admiral Yi Soo-jin stood on the bridge of the TSF Incheon, reading reports that made her stomach hurt. Human colonies were being cut off from everything they needed to survive: medical supplies, rare metals for their machines, and food from agricultural worlds, all blocked by Federation embargo. Admiral, her communications officer said. New Busan colony is reporting another outbreak of red lung disease. They need Altarian medicine, but no ships will deliver to human worlds. Yi Su-jin clenched her jaw. Red lung was not usually deadly if treated quickly. But without the right medicine, people would start dying within weeks. On the farming world of New Seoul, Dr. Choi Min-ho worked in his small medical center with only basic supplies. A young girl lay on the examination table, her breathing shallow and difficult. She had Cygnus fever, a disease that alien children got over in a few days with proper treatment. How long before the medicine arrives? The girl's mother asked. Choi Min-ho could not meet her eyes. The supply ships are not coming anymore. We are cut off from the Federation Medical Network. His wife, Han Yuri, put her hand on his shoulder. She was a nurse and had been working double shifts to help as many people as possible. We need to find another way, she whispered. That night, Han Yuri used an old quantum radio to contact other human medical stations. The signal was encrypted and very hard to detect. One by one, human doctors and nurses across the galaxy began talking to each other in secret. We have extra antibiotics on Kepler Station, reported Dr. Jang from the mining world. But we need surgical equipment. New Tokyo has manufacturing facilities, said Nurse Park from the industrial colony. We can make basic medical tools if someone can send us the designs. Slowly, quietly, human colonies began helping each other. They shared resources, information, and hope. The Federation did not notice because they were too busy enjoying their increased profits. At the same time, something else was happening that the aliens missed completely. Human ships were disappearing from all the normal trade routes and communication networks. At first, alien merchants thought humans had simply given up trying to do business. Captain Nam Hyeon-soo commanded the exploration ship TSF Busan. For years, his ship had been mapping new star systems for the Federation. Now, he was doing something different. A Federation monitoring station contacted his ship as it passed through the outer rim. TSF Busan, this is Station Gamma 7. We have not seen human ships in this sector for weeks. What are your people doing? Nam Hyun-soo looked at the communication screen. The alien officer looked bored and slightly annoyed. We are going home, he said simply. Home? Your colonies are still operating, are they not? Yes, Nam Hyun-soo replied. But home is not where we live. Home is where we belong. The alien officer looked confused. Before he could ask more questions, the TSF Busan activated its jump drive and vanished into dark space. Similar conversations happened across the galaxy. Human ships would appear at the edge of Federation space, exchange a few words with monitoring stations, then disappear completely. The aliens logged these encounters as routine and forgot about them. On the human colony world of New Incheon, factory worker Lee Dong-soo received a coded message on his personal communicator. The message looked like a family letter from his sister, but hidden in the normal words was something else entirely. Pack light. The family reunion is happening sooner than expected. Bring your engineering skills and all your friends from work, Lee. Dong-soo had been building farming equipment for 20 years. But he also knew how to build other things that the Federation had never allowed humans to manufacture. He began making lists of materials and tools he could carry in a single bag. Similar messages reached humans in every corner of the galaxy. Scientists who had been forced to work on simple projects for alien companies. Engineers who had been told their ideas were too dangerous or primitive. Soldiers who had been serving as guards and security for alien businesses. All of them received the same basic message. It was time to come home. The exodus was so gradual that the Federation barely noticed. Humans would simply fail to show up for work one day, and their alien employers would hire someone else. Human families would pack up their belongings and leave their apartments, and the landlords would find new tenants. One by one, millions of humans disappeared from Federation space. On Altair Prime, the homeworld of the most powerful Federation species, a human janitor named Kim Tae-jun finished his last day of work. For 5 years, he had cleaned the offices of the Galactic Defense Ministry. He had emptied trash cans, mopped floors, and been completely invisible to the important alien officials who planned military operations. But Kim Tae-jun had very good eyes and an excellent memory. He had seen classified documents left on desks. He had heard conversations about fleet movements and weapon deployments. He had learned the locations of secret military bases and the weaknesses of Federation defense systems. Now he was taking all that information with him as he boarded a small transport ship heading for the Outer Rim. The same thing was happening on dozens of worlds. Human servants, workers, and refugees were quietly leaving Federation space. The aliens who employed them thought nothing of it. Humans came and went all the time, and they were easily replaced. What the Federation did not understand was that these humans had not just been working random jobs. They had been watching, learning, and remembering everything they saw. Admiral Yi Su-jin received her final communication from a human colony in Federation space. It was from Captain Park Soo-ho on the trading post at Vega Station. Admiral, this is our last transmission from Federation territory. All human civilians have been evacuated. All useful intelligence has been gathered. We are going dark as of now. Understood, Captain. Safe travels. See you at the family reunion, Admiral. The communication channel went silent. Across the galaxy, human colonies went dark one by one. Their communication arrays stopped broadcasting. Their ships stopped appearing on Federation's sensors. Their people simply vanished. The Federation celebrated this as final proof that the human problem was solved. Without diplomatic protection, humans had apparently given up and retreated to whatever primitive worlds they came from. At the next Federation Council meeting, the Velikari ambassador raised a toast. To a galaxy without human interference, may they stay buried on their little rock of a homeworld where they belong. The other species cheered and drank their exotic beverages. They were so happy to be rid of humanity that they did not ask important questions. Where exactly had all the humans gone? What were they doing in their sudden isolation? And why had their retreat been so organized and complete? If they had asked these questions, they might have noticed some strange things happening in the dark. Spaces between stars. Energy signatures that did not match any known technology. Deep space monitoring stations that went offline for no apparent reason. Phantom traffic on shipping lanes that were supposed to be empty, but the Federation was too busy enjoying their prosperity to pay attention to such small details. They had gotten exactly what they wanted, a galaxy without humans constantly demanding equal treatment and asking uncomfortable questions about justice. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. In the deep black between the stars, where no Federation sensors could reach, something new was being born. The humans who had scattered across the galaxy were coming together in a place no alien had ever found. They brought with them 2 centuries of knowledge about every Federation species, every weakness, and every secret. The galaxy thought the human story was over, but it was just beginning. 2 years had passed since the humans disappeared from Federation space. The alien species had completely forgotten about them. They were too busy fighting over the former human territories and dividing up the valuable resources. On a hidden world, deep in the Sagittarius Arm, something incredible was happening. The planet had no name on any Federation star chart. It was just an empty rock floating in space, too far from any trade route to be worth exploring. But now it was covered with activity. General Kang Dong-min stood on a hill overlooking the largest construction project in human history. As far as he could see, there were shipyards, weapons factories, and training facilities. Millions of humans who had scattered across the galaxy were now working together with one purpose. "Report," he said to his aide, Colonel Jung Hai-won. Shipyard. 7 completed its first battle cruiser yesterday, Jung Hai-won replied. Weapons testing is ahead of schedule. and we have received another 500,000 volunteers from the refugee ships. Kang Dong-min nodded. Every day, more humans arrived at the hidden world. They came in small groups so the Federation would not notice large ship movements. Factory workers brought their tools and knowledge. Scientists carried research data they had memorized. Soldiers brought training manuals and tactical information. In the main research facility, Dr. Lim Jae-hyuk worked on designs that would have made Federation scientists laugh 2 years ago. The aliens had always dismissed human technology as primitive and crude. They preferred elegant solutions that used the least amount of energy and materials. Humans thought differently. They built things to work even when everything went wrong. They made backup systems for their backup systems. Where aliens made one perfect weapon, humans made 10 good enough weapons. "Doctor, the new plasma cannon tests are complete," his assistant reported. Lim Jae-hyuk looked at the results and smiled. The weapon was designed specifically to destroy Velakari crystal ships. The Velakari thought their crystalline hulls were invincible because they could deflect energy weapons and absorb impacts, but crystals had a weakness. If you hit them with exactly the right frequency of energy, they would shatter completely. Lim Jae-hyuk had spent months studying captured Velakari technology to find that frequency. "What about the neural dampeners?" he asked. "Ready for mass production. Engineer Bae Soo-min says the manufacturing line can make 10,000 units per day." The neural dampeners were designed to stop Zephyrian mind control. Zephyrians were excellent diplomats because they could influence thoughts and emotions. In battle, they could make enemy soldiers hesitate or surrender without fighting. But human brains were different from other species. With the right equipment, they could block Zephyrian mental attacks completely. For the first time in their history, Zephyrians would face an enemy they could not manipulate. In another part of the facility, engineer Bae Soo-min led teams of humans working on captured alien technology. They were not trying to copy it. They were trying to understand how to destroy it. "The Altarian power cores use quantum resonance," she explained to her team. "If we can disrupt that resonance, their ships will lose all power instantly." Her assistant technician Oh Min-jun raised his hand. "But how do we get close enough to use a disruption device?" Bae Soo-min smiled. "We do not get close. We make their own weapons do it for us." She showed them a small device that looked like a simple metal cube. "This attaches to any Altarian weapon system. When they fire, it sends a feedback pulse through their power grid. Their own guns will shut down their ships." The humans had learned something important during their 2 centuries in Federation space. Every alien species was proud of their advanced technology, but they had made their systems too specialized. Velakari ships only worked for Velakari. Zephyrian weapons only worked for Zephyrians. Human technology was different. A human could pick up any human weapon and use it effectively. A human ship could be operated by any human crew. This flexibility was what aliens called primitive, but it was actually humanity's greatest strength. Meanwhile, Intelligence Director Oh Hae-won coordinated with human agents who had remained in Federation space. These agents had been dismissed as harmless refugees or low-level workers. The aliens never suspected that they were actually gathering vital intelligence. On Altair Prime, former janitor Kim Tae-jun now worked as a cargo handler at the main spaceport. He had access to shipping records and flight plans. Every day, he sent coded messages about Federation military movements. On the Velakari homeworld, restaurant worker Shin Bo-ra served meals to high-ranking officials. She listened to their conversations and learned about new weapon developments and defense strategies. On Zephyr Station, maintenance worker Cha Woo-jin repaired communication systems. He had installed tiny listening devices throughout the station that recorded everything the Zephyrians said to each other. All of this information flowed back to Oh Hae-won, who used it to build detailed maps of Federation military strength. She knew the location of every major base, the schedule of every patrol, and the weaknesses of every defense system. "Director," her analyst said, "we have confirmation that the Federation is planning a joint military exercise in the Vega system." Next month, all 12 species will participate. Haiwan studied the intelligence report. The Federation was showing off their military power, probably to intimidate some minor species that was asking for better treatment. They had no idea that human agents were watching their every move. "Send this information to General Kang," she ordered. "This exercise will be the perfect opportunity to field test our new weapons." The Federation had noticed some strange things happening lately. Deep space monitoring stations would go offline for a few hours, then come back online with no explanation. Energy signatures appeared on sensors that did not match any known technology. Some cargo ships reported being scanned by invisible vessels. But these incidents were dismissed as equipment malfunctions or sensor ghosts. The Federation was enjoying the most prosperous period in its history. Trade was booming. Resources flowed freely from former human territories. There were no major conflicts or diplomatic crises. Ambassador Thexundor, the Velakari who had led the vote to relocate human colonies, now served on the Federation Security Council. He filed routine reports about the peaceful state of the galaxy. "All major threats have been neutralized," he wrote in his latest security assessment. "The human species appears to have retreated into extinction, exactly as our xenobiologists predicted. Their primitive technology and aggressive nature made them unsuited for galactic civilization." He had no idea that Captain Sim Gyu-ri and her stealth ship were floating just outside his office window, recording every word he said. The ship was invisible to all Federation sensors, using technology that combined human innovation with captured alien components. Sim Gyu-ri listened to Thexundor dismiss humanity as extinct and smiled grimly. "Send a message to Fleet Command," she told her communications officer. "Tell them the target is confirmed. We have full intelligence on Security Council operations." Back on the hidden world, General Kang Dong-min reviewed the final preparations. The surface of the planet was now covered with military installations. Shipyards had produced over 3,000 warships of various sizes. Weapons factories had built enough equipment to arm 10 million soldiers. Training facilities had prepared, the largest military force in human history. But the most important preparation was not visible on the surface. In deep underground bunkers, human scientists had been working on something that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "General," Dr. Lim Jae-hyuk reported, "the quantum cascade generators are ready for deployment." Kang Dong-min nodded. The cascade generators were humanity's ultimate weapon, devices that could shut down all Federation technology in an entire star system. They were based on a simple principle that alien scientists had overlooked. All their advanced technology depended on quantum fields that could be disrupted. "How many systems can we affect simultaneously?" Kang Dong-min asked. "With our current network of hidden devices, we can disable Federation technology in 47 star systems at once. Their fleets will be completely helpless." The general looked out at the busy construction sites and training grounds. 2 years ago, these humans had been scattered across the galaxy, working as servants and laborers for alien masters. Now they were united, armed, and ready to remind the galaxy what humans were really capable of. "Send the message to all fleet commanders," he ordered. "Operation Homecoming begins in 72 hours. It is time to go back to the Federation and have a proper conversation about peace." The galaxy was about to learn that humans had not retreated into extinction. They had been preparing for war. The attack began at exactly noon, Galactic Standard Time. Across 47 star systems, Federation fleets suddenly found themselves under attack by an enemy they thought no longer existed. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council was holding another celebration. The Altarian speaker was giving a speech about the golden age of galactic peace, when the first human ship appeared above the city. Admiral Kwon Jae-sung stood on the bridge of the TSF Seoul, looking down at the capital world where humanity had been humiliated 2 years ago. His massive battleship had emerged from stealth directly above the council chambers, its weapons already charging. All ships, this is Admiral Kwan. He spoke into his communication system. Operation Homecoming is now active. Show them what humans can do. Below on the planet's surface, alien civilians looked up at the sky in confusion. The ship above them was enormous, larger than anything in the Federation fleet. Its hull was covered with weapons that glowed with threatening energy. In the council chambers, alarms began screaming. Security officers rushed to their posts while the alien ambassadors demanded explanations. "What is that ship?" the Velakari ambassador asked, his crystal body trembling. "Impossible," whispered the Zephyrian delegate. "Humans do not have technology like that." But they did. 2 years of preparation had given humanity weapons and ships that surpassed anything the Federation had ever built. The TSF Sol was just the beginning. In the Vega system, Captain Hong Min-jai led a squadron of human destroyers against the Velakari Crystal Fleet. The aliens had been conducting a training exercise, showing off their beautiful ships that looked like flying jewels. "All ships, target the crystal formations," Hong Min-jai ordered. "Use the resonance charges." The human ships fired weapons that looked like simple energy beams. But these beams carried a special frequency that Dr. Lim Jae-hyuk had designed specifically for Velakari ships. When the energy hit the crystal hulls, something amazing happened. The crystals began to vibrate faster and faster until they could not hold together anymore. One by one, the beautiful Velakari ships shattered, like glass windows hit by rocks. "Impossible!" screamed the Velakari admiral over the communication channel. "Our hulls are invincible." "Nothing is invincible," Hong Min-jai replied calmly. "You just never fought anyone who understood your weaknesses." In the Altair system, homeworld of the most powerful Federation species, Captain Lee Sun-ho faced the main Altarian battle fleet. The golden insect-like aliens had assembled their finest ships to defend their capital world. The Altarians opened fire first, using their advanced quantum weapons that could destroy most ships with a single shot. But the human ships did not die. Instead, they seemed to absorb the energy and keep fighting. "How are they still functioning?" demanded the Altarian fleet commander. "Our weapons should have vaporized them." What the Altarians did not know was that human ships carried the small devices that engineer Bae Sumin had designed. When the Altarian weapons fired, the devices sent feedback pulses through the quantum energy streams. The Altarian ships suddenly went dark. Their power cores shut down completely. Their weapons stopped working, their engines died. The most advanced fleet in the galaxy was now floating helplessly in space. "This is Captain Lee Sun-ho of the Terran Federation," Lee announced on all frequencies. "Your ships are disabled but not destroyed. Surrender now and your crews will not be harmed." Some Altarian ships tried to restart their systems, but the feedback devices had burned out their main computers. Others attempted to ram the human ships, but their engines would not respond. On Zephyr Station, the most important diplomatic center in Federation space, Colonel Yoon Sang-ho led human ground forces in a rescue operation. Thousands of human colonists had been enslaved here after the diplomatic breakdown 2 years ago. The Zephyrian guards tried to use their mind control powers on the attacking humans. They sent waves of mental energy designed to make enemies feel fear, confusion, and despair. But the human soldiers wore the neural dampening devices that Dr. Lim Jae-hyuk had perfected. The Zephyrian mental attacks had no effect at all. "Why? Are they not stopping?" a Zephyrian commander asked in panic. "Our mind weapons should make them flee in terror." "Because we know what you are," Yoon Sang-ho replied, advancing with his troops. "And we came prepared." For the first time in their species history, Zephyrians faced an enemy they could not influence or control. The experience terrified them more than any physical weapon could. The human soldiers moved through the station methodically, freeing enslaved colonists and capturing important Zephyrian officials. They fought with a determination that shook the alien defenders to their core. But the most devastating human weapon was not military at all. Cyber warfare specialist No Da-un sat in a command center on the hidden human world, her fingers dancing across holographic keyboards. With a few commands, she activated a virus that human agents had been secretly installing in Federation computer systems for 2 years. The virus spread through every network, every communication system, and every data storage facility in alien space. Suddenly, every screen in the galaxy began showing the same thing: documented proof of Federation crimes against humanity and other species, secret files about slave labor, environmental destruction, and systematic oppression, video recordings of alien officials laughing about the suffering of inferior species. On 100 worlds, alien civilians watched in horror as they learned the truth about their supposedly peaceful and enlightened government. Species that had considered themselves morally superior discovered they had been supporting a system of cruelty and injustice. The hegemony mining worlds, where human colonies had been destroyed to make room for strip mining, became the scene of the fiercest fighting. These aliens had always been the most brutal toward humans, treating them like expendable animals. Major Kim Hyo-jun led the assault on Mining Platform 7, where hundreds of human prisoners were being worked to death in the deep mines. His soldiers fought with a fury that surprised even themselves. "For New Seoul!" shouted one soldier as he destroyed an alien weapon emplacement. "For our children!" called another as she rescued a group of human families from a prison camp. Tiu. Alien guards had never faced enemies who fought with such personal motivation. They were used to battles between professional armies, not people fighting to save their families and homes. Back on Nexus Prime, the Federation Council was in complete chaos. Half their fleets were destroyed or disabled. Their communication networks were compromised. Their dirty secrets were being broadcast across the galaxy. The Altarian speaker tried to call for reinforcements, but no ships were responding. Every Federation fleet was under attack simultaneously. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Humans are primitives. They do not have the technology for coordinated attacks across multiple star systems." Admiral Kwon Jae-sung answered him directly, speaking from the TSF soul that still floated above the council chambers. "You are right. We did not have this technology 2 years ago, but we learned it from you. From us, every piece of equipment we captured, every conversation your officials had in front of human servants, every classified document left on desks that human janitors cleaned. We have been students in your schools for 2 centuries. We learned everything you taught us." The alien ambassadors finally understood the magnitude of their mistake. They had dismissed humans as harmless servants and laborers. But those servants had been watching, learning, and preparing. "You used our own knowledge against us," the Velikari ambassador said in shock. "We used your knowledge to become better than you," Kwon Jae-sung corrected. "The student has graduated." Across the galaxy, Federation resistance was crumbling. Their fleets were destroyed or disabled. Their ground forces were overwhelmed by humans who fought with desperate courage. Their civilian populations were learning the truth about their government's crimes. In 6 hours, the most powerful military alliance in galactic history had been brought to its knees by the species they had dismissed as primitive animals. The POW, Age of Human Diplomatic Requests, was over. The Age of Human Demands was about to begin. 6 months after the human return, the galaxy looked very different. The old Federation Council chambers on Nexus Prime had been destroyed in the fighting. In their place stood a new building made of simple materials, but designed with careful thought for every species that would use it. President Ryu Seong-min walked into the new Galactic Assembly Hall for the first time. 2 years ago, she had been a colonial administrator on New Seoul, dismissed by Federation bureaucrats as a primitive, local official. Now she was the leader of the most powerful government in the galaxy. The seating arrangement was completely different from the old Federation chambers. Instead of floating chairs that showed off alien technology, every delegate sat in identical seats arranged in a circle. No species was higher or lower than any other. But there was no mistaking who was in charge. Human military officers stood at every entrance. Human ships controlled the orbital space above the planet. Human technology managed the communication, systems that connected the assembly to the rest of the galaxy. Foreign Minister An Bo-young stood at the central podium, reading the terms that would reshape galactic civilization. Her voice was calm and professional, but every alien in the room knew they were listening to demands, not requests. The Terran Commonwealth will accept nothing less than complete equality for all sentient species, she announced. No species shall be considered superior to another. No species shall have the right to relocate or enslave another. These principles are not negotiable. The alien delegates listened in silence. 6 months ago, they would have laughed at such statements from humans. Now they sat quietly and took notes. The Velakari ambassador raised one crystal appendage. What about reparations for the damage to our fleets during the recent conflict? An Bo-young looked at him with an expression that made the translator systems pause before converting her words. You are asking for reparations. Your species voted to destroy human colonies and relocate billions of people. You called us insects and primitives. You blocked medical supplies that led to thousands of human deaths. She activated a holographic display that showed images from the cyber warfare revelations. These are recordings of Velakari officials laughing about human suffering. These are documents showing how your government profited from slave labor. You want to discuss reparations? We can start with what you owe humanity. The Velakari ambassador's crystal body dimmed with what humans had learned was embarrassment. He said nothing more about reparations. Trade Director Lee Hyo-jin presented the new economic agreements. The terms acknowledged that human technology now surpassed anything the Federation had developed. Alien species that had once refused to trade with humans as equals now desperately needed human medical technology, manufacturing capacity, and military protection. The Kepler 442 system will remain under human control, Lee Hyo-jin announced, as will the Vega and Proxima systems. These were human colonies that you voted to destroy. They will be rebuilt and expanded under human administration. But those systems contain valuable resources, protested the hegemony representative. Yes, they do, Lee Hyo-jin agreed. Resources that will be used to benefit all species in the Commonwealth, not just the ones with the biggest fleets. That is how civilized societies operate. The economic terms were harsh, but fair. Species that had cooperated with the anti-human policies would pay higher taxes and receive fewer trade benefits. Species that had tried to help humans or had remained neutral would be treated as equal partners. But the hardest terms were for species that had actively participated in enslaving humans or destroying human colonies. They would be placed under Commonwealth oversight until they could prove they had changed their ways. Some alien species tried to resist the new order. The Altarian hegemony, still angry about their military defeat, launched one final offensive against human colonies in the Outer Rim. Fleet Admiral Park Sun-ho met them with a force that included ships from 6 different species. The Commonwealth. Fleet was not just human anymore. It included aliens who had chosen to join the new government rather than fight against it. The battle lasted less than 4 hours. The Altarian fleet was completely destroyed, with most of their ships captured, rather than killed. Park Sun-ho made sure that the defeated aliens were treated well and given medical care. This was not about revenge. It was about showing that the Commonwealth was better than the old Federation. This is Fleet Admiral Park Sun-ho to all remaining Altarian forces, he announced on all frequencies. Your main fleet has been defeated. Your homeworld is surrounded. You have 2 choices: surrender and join the Commonwealth as equals, or continue fighting and be removed from power completely. The Altarian government chose surrender. Within a week, their old leadership was replaced by moderate officials who were willing to work with other species instead of trying to dominate them. Ambassador Kim Woo-jin delivered the final terms to what remained of the old Federation Council. He had replaced Lee Tae-ho, who was now serving as Earth's representative to the Commonwealth government. Kim Woo-jin stood in the same spot where Lee Tae-ho had been humiliated 2 years earlier. But now the roles were completely reversed. The alien delegates sat quietly while the human ambassador explained how things would work from now on. "When we walked out of those peace talks," Kim Woo-jin said, "you thought you were getting rid of a nuisance. You believed we would go away and never bother you again. You were wrong on both counts." He activated a holographic display showing the new Commonwealth territory. Over half the galaxy was now under human leadership, with more species joining every day. You were not getting rid of a nuisance. You were getting rid of the only thing standing between you and what we really are. For 2 centuries, we tried to work within your system. We asked politely for equal treatment. We followed your rules and respected your traditions. We tried to solve problems with words instead of weapons. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They were beginning to understand the magnitude of their mistake. But you taught us that politeness is seen as weakness. You showed us that requests are ignored while demands are respected. You proved that the only language you understand is force." Kim Woo-jin gestured toward the human ships visible through the chamber windows. "So we learned to speak your language. And now that we are fluent, we are having a very different conversation." The establishment of the Terran-led Galactic Commonwealth was completed with a signing ceremony that included representatives from over 30 species. Many of the aliens who signed had been enemies of humanity just months before. But the Commonwealth was not built on conquest or revenge. It was built on the principle that no species should ever again face the systematic oppression that humans had endured. Admiral Yi Soo-jin, now Supreme Commander of Commonwealth Defense Forces, stood before a mixed fleet of human and alien ships. Her job was to ensure that no species would ever again be treated as inferior or expendable. "Our strength is not just in our weapons," she told her officers during their first joint training exercise. "Our strength is in our refusal to become like those who oppressed us. We will be strong enough to defend the weak, but we will never use that strength to become oppressors ourselves." On New Seoul, the farming world that had once been cut off from medical supplies, Dr. Choi Min-ho now operated the most advanced medical facility in the galaxy. His wife Han Yu-ri coordinated relief efforts that provided free medical care to dozens of species. The same humans who had once been denied basic medicine were now sharing their advanced medical technology with everyone, including former enemies. "Why do you help us?" asked a Velikari patient who was recovering from injuries received during the war. "My people voted to destroy your colonies." Choi Min-ho checked the patient's crystal matrix healing process and adjusted the treatment settings. "Because being better than your enemies means actually being better, not just stronger." The galaxy had peace again, but it was a very different kind of peace than before. It was not the peace of the strong dominating the weak. It was the peace of mutual respect, enforced by those who remembered what it felt like to be powerless. In his final report as Commonwealth President, Ryu Seong-min wrote, "We did not seek to rule the galaxy. We sought only to be treated as equals. When that was denied to us, we had to become strong enough to demand it. Now that we have that strength, we use it to ensure that no other species will face what we faced." The Commonwealth flag flew over. 1,000 worlds showing a simple design. Multiple stars of different colors arranged in a circle, with no single star larger or brighter than the others. It was a symbol that every species could understand. Unity without domination, strength without oppression. The galaxy had gotten exactly what it asked for when it dismissed humanity from the peace talks. Unfortunately for the old Federation, they had asked for a galaxy where only the strong survived. They just never imagined that humans would turn out to be the strongest of all. But humanity's greatest victory was not military or political. It was moral. They had proven that it was possible to be powerful without being cruel, to be strong without being oppressive, and to win without becoming the very thing they had fought against. The age of Federation arrogance was over. The age of Commonwealth cooperation had begun.